Hollywood has a villain problem, and it is dragging down all of their productions. Perhaps that's a bit of a misnomer. It would probably be more accurate to say Hollywood has a morality problem, but that doesn't make for nearly as good of a video title. Plus, I'm going to demonstrate this problem with examples of villains, so I think it's fine. It's no secret that studios like Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Warner Brothers, who were once able to release practically anything and be guaranteed to make $1 billion, have struggled to break even on the majority of their recent productions. There have been countless attempts to explain this persistent problem, both inside and outside the industry. But as of yet, it does not seem that Hollywood has been able to solve it, and continues to waste billions of dollars every year. The reason they can't fix the problem is because they don't understand it, and they don't understand it because they are the problem. Hollywood is having trouble creating stories that resonate with the audience, resulting in box office losses and horrible reviews. Good storytelling requires a number of elements: a compelling plot with an interesting problem to solve, a hero to admire, and a villain worthy of our fear or scorn. Now, Hollywood is failing at all of these things to varying degrees, but I believe the core problem with the industry is best demonstrated by the difficulty in creating a good, compelling villain. A good villain can define a movie or television show. Think of Darth Vader, the T-1000, or Gus Fring. Each one of these examples probably brings back a rush of memorable moments at just the mention of their names. Look across the library of film and television shows produced in the last 5 years or so. Is there any villain that elicits the same reaction? The problem with modern villains is that their creation and depiction have been tainted by what has become known as the message, unstated rules of storytelling and character development dictated by intersectional feminism and critical race theory. Modern villains fall primarily into two categories: male villains, mostly white male villains, who are comically evil and irredeemable, and female villains, who are complicated and redeemable, and ultimately victims in their own right. There are, of course, exceptions, but this is the primary dichotomy for villains in modern stories. Care for some examples? WandaVision saw an interesting and innovative take on Marvel's formula, providing an interesting storytelling device of cycling classic television styles and intriguing mysteries about just what was going on, before it turned into a Marvel property at the end. Near the end of the show, it was revealed that Wanda, stricken with the grief of losing Vision during the fight with Thanos, had taken an entire town hostage, forcing them to play along with her television show fantasies. Those that were needed were moved around like meat puppets, playing along with the game, unable to resist her overwhelming power. Those who were not needed were left on the outskirts of town, frozen like statues, continually aware but unable to move, or locked in their bedrooms, cut off from everyone else. When she was finally forced to face the atrocities she had committed against the entire town, she released her hostages and gave up her illusion. What should have followed was swift justice delivered by the Avengers for her gross violation of human rights on an astronomical level. Instead, the villain of the story was given praise and admiration as she was told,
"They'll never know what you sacrificed for them."
"They'll never know what you sacrificed." This woman enslaved thousands of people for months in order to live in a fantasy where she created fake people as her family members. She is finally forced to choose the lives of real people over her concocted figments, and she is praised for doing so. Then she leaves and settles in a quaint little cabin to continue her research, where we find her in the next big mystical Marvel property, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange discovers an interdimensional traveler, America Chavez, being pursued by a malevolent force. In order to help him protect the girl, he goes to Wanda's haven to ask for help. When he arrives, she assumes he is there to exercise some punishment against her for her actions in Westview. Shockingly, he responds,
"But you put things right in the end, and that was never in doubt."
I'm not here to talk about Westview.
Yes, you heard that right. Doctor Strange had been monitoring her actions in the town the entire time, and never doubted she would make the right decision in the end, entirely ignoring the real-life torture being enacted upon the innocent citizens of Westview. After a brief conversation, it is revealed that Wanda is the malevolent force pursuing America Chavez. As it turns out, the children she created in WandaVision were based on real children who actually existed in every other dimension but hers, and she intends to use America's dimension-hopping powers to take one of those sets of children for herself. Strange tries to reason with her to no avail. In her rampage through dimensions, she wipes out most of the sorcerers at Camartage, forcefully commandeers the body of her Earth 838 counterpart, and kills the members of the 838 Illuminati. It is not until she is faced with the horrified reaction of the children she wants to kidnap that she realizes the horror of her actions. In the end, she sacrifices herself, once again being depicted as a noble act, though it is believed by many that she did in fact survive, but this is yet to be confirmed. Wanda was the unquestioned villain of both these Marvel properties, but is depicted as a hero making sacrifices for the benefit of others. This is a complete inversion of the morality structure in the story. The hero is actually the villain. The closest thing to a good guy in WandaVision is clearly depicted as the antagonist, and the hero of Multiverse of Madness was sidelined during the climax of his own movie so that Wanda could end the threat herself. The treatment of Wanda's characterization is more often than not the template for most modern female villains in movies. Reva in Kenobi, Carly Morgenthau in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hela in Thor Ragnarok, and Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Every one of these is a villain who isn't actually the villain. Each one is either forced to act evil or is acting in retaliation against the actions of someone else, usually a man. Each one is sympathetic and is held up as the good guy, either by depiction or by actually being lifted up by the characters in the film or show. Conversely, male villains are often portrayed as one-note, even comically evil characters. The antagonist of WandaVision, sword director Tyler Hayward, fits this mold perfectly, reactivating the corpse of Vision and going so far as to shoot children, which he did not know weren't real at the time, in order to kill Wanda. Yon-Rogg from Captain Marvel, Dreykov from Black Widow, Black Mask in Birds of Prey, and the Riddler in The Batman also fall into this category of bad guys who are evil just because they're evil. So, what's the cause of this problem? I believe the explanation is simple. Hollywood no longer understands its audience, i.e. normal people. Hollywood lives in a bubble, an echo chamber. In the world of Hollywood, intersectional feminism and critical theory are the main lens through which all things are viewed. In light of this, Hollywood's writing choices make perfect sense. All non-whites and females must be lifted up and excused, and all white men must be brought down and made the brunt of jokes and criticism.
I don't know, just don't be a dick!
Hollywood cannot fix this problem because they do not understand the value system of the regular media viewer, so all they will produce is content that offends the audience. What's interesting is that they seem to understand that their content is unpopular and can even predict ahead of time that a property will fail and will often lay the groundwork for blaming the audience for the failure. They are just plainly incapable of solving the problem that plagues them. This will continue until studios finally hit rock bottom, which seems to be happening faster than anyone could have expected. When companies fail, they often clean house and start over. That is the only thing that can correct the problems ingrained in Hollywood. The rot is too deep, infecting all the way up to the executive level. When corruption is found everywhere, only complete failure can correct the problem. I'd like to think this is not the case, but frequent attempts to right the ship have continually produced the same content. So what do you think? How can Hollywood right the ship? Can Hollywood right the ship? Let me know down below. Thank you for watching.